There are voices in music that don't just entertain, they heal. For decades, one such voice has been the gentle, soaring tenor of Vince Gill, the singer behind the beloved hymn-like ballad, Go Rest High on That Mountain. With 22 Grammy Awards and a place among country music's most revered names, Gill's legacy is built on honesty, humility, and heart. But the public only sees the triumphs, the awards, the hit songs, the stage lights. Behind that calm strength is a life shaped by private loss, tough choices, and quiet battles few fans ever knew. Recently, Gill revealed something that adds a new layer to a career defined by devotion to family, faith, and music. His story isn't just about fame. It's about how grief, resilience, and love can create art that lasts longer than any spotlight. A childhood shattered by silence. In 1968, 11-year-old Vince Gill lived a simple life in Norman, filled with school, family dinners, and the joy of learning music on a small tenor guitar. His father, J. Stanley Gill, encouraged him, often playing alongside his son. That world changed with one phone call. His older half-brother, Bob Cohen, had been in a devastating car accident. Bob slipped into a coma that lasted 3 months, and when he woke, the boy Vince knew was gone. The accident left Bob with severe brain damage, unable to speak or care for himself. For young Vince, watching his parents grieve a living son was a kind of loss that never truly ends. Bob remained in that condition for 25 years, and his death in 1993 reopened old wounds. The emotional scar stayed with Gill, shaping the tenderness in his voice and the truth in his songs. The song that holds the 11-year-old boy. When Bob died in 1993, Gill was already a rising star. That same year, he released a Christmas album, Let There Be Peace on Earth, that carried the weight of his grief. One track, It Won't Be the Same. This year spoke directly to the aching absence of someone who's gone long before death. It wasn't just a holiday song, it was a private confession in melody. Gill has said that every time he sings it, he sees the 11-year-old boy again, standing in the hospital corridor, powerless and heartbroken. That kind of pain doesn't fade, it becomes part of the artist's voice. The tenderness in his singing isn't a style, it's lived experience. And it's why so many listeners have found comfort in his music when they've lost someone they loved, a rising talent nearly lost to the spotlight. By the late 1980s, Vince Gill had become a familiar face in Nashville studios. He had played with Pure Prairie League and released 2 solo albums with RCA Records, but his solo career hadn't yet caught fire. He was respected as a guitarist and singer, yet the charts remained indifferent. Then came a call that could have changed everything. Mark Knopfler invited Gill to join Dire Straits, one of the biggest rock acts in the world after Brothers in Arms. It was a golden ticket to arena fame and global audiences. Most artists would have said yes without thinking, but Gill hesitated. He realized that joining would mean losing himself, his voice, and his stories. So he turned it down, choosing a path that felt honest, even if it was uncertain. The gamble that became a triumph. For years, Gill questioned that decision. He watched others succeed while he played smaller venues and rode long tour buses. But then he released When I Call Your Name. The title track became a defining moment in country music, a gentle, aching ballad that showcased the emotional depth in his voice. It won him his first Grammy and launched him into the mainstream. Suddenly, the gamble paid off, not because he became the biggest star overnight, but because he became himself. He had refused a shortcut to fame and instead chose authenticity. Looking back, he said he'd rather be himself in a small club than someone else in a sold-out arena. That choice didn't just shape his career, it shaped his entire life, proving that integrity can become its own kind of success. The romance that divided fans. In December 1993, Gill was in Tulsa filming a holiday special when he met Amy Grant. She was stressed, and Gill's kindness broke through. He told her, "Hey, unknit that brow, it's going to be okay." Their voices blended beautifully that night, and the connection grew quietly over the years. Later, Grant invited Gill to sing a duet on her album, House of Love. At the time, both were married, Gill to Janice Oliver and Grant to Gary Chapman. Their marriages were struggling, and their bond deepened into something undeniable. The public noticed, and the backlash was fierce, especially toward Grant, whose image as a Christian icon was suddenly questioned. Radio stations pulled her songs, and fans wrote angry letters. Gill later said what hurt most was that people assumed the worst. "We weren't reckless," he said. "We were human." A marriage born from pain and patience. After years of rumors and private struggle, Gill and Grant divorced their spouses and married each other in March 2000. The ceremony was held at Gill's home outside Nashville, attended by close friends and family. It was intimate, emotional, and deeply personal, far from the public spectacle that critics had imagined. Gill stood beside Grant, not as a symbol of scandal, but as a man who had waited quietly for the right moment. Their relationship was a lesson in patience, devotion, and the painful truth that love doesn't always arrive at the right time. The years that followed proved that their bond wasn't built on fame or rebellion. It was built on shared healing, mutual respect, and a quiet determination to be better together, stepping into a legendary band without replacing anyone. When Glenn Frey died in January 2016, many believed the Eagles' era was over. Don Henley said he couldn't imagine performing without Frey. But a quiet invitation changed everything. Gill, who had long admired the Eagles, was asked to join the band for their 2017 reunion shows alongside Deacon Frey. The goal wasn't to replace Frey, but to honor him. Gill studied the songs meticulously, harmonies, phrasing, and emotional tone, especially tracks like I Can't Tell You Why and Tequila Sunrise. When he stepped onto the stage at Dodger Stadium, the crowd responded with tears and standing ovations. Critics argued, but Gill didn't engage. He said his mission was simple: honor the music and keep it alive. Caregiving, crisis, and the strength of love. In 2020, a routine checkup revealed that Grant had a rare congenital heart defect, partial anomalous pulmonary venous return. She needed open heart surgery, and she needed it soon. The operation was successful, but recovery was slow, and the COVID-19 pandemic kept Gill from her bedside for days. When he finally could visit, he stayed with her, becoming her anchor. Grant later told People magazine that he held her up and never let her feel alone. Then, in July 2022, Grant suffered a traumatic brain injury after falling off her bike. She was unconscious for minutes and faced memory loss, balance issues, and ongoing pain. Gill canceled 3 concerts immediately. "No stage matters more than seeing her well again," he said. His love didn't just survive the crisis, it deepened, proving that devotion isn't a feeling, but a choice made every day. Reinventing his art, at 67, writing for truth, not charts. Even after decades in the industry, Gill refuses to coast. At 67, he's writing what he calls the best songs of his life, not to top charts, but to heal and connect. That spirit shows in songs like Forever Changed, inspired by childhood abuse, and Worlds Apart, which captures grief and distance without judgment. Even older tracks like My Kind of Woman, My Kind of Man show his evolving artistry, always tender, always honest. Gill's music now comes from observation rather than performance, from empathy rather than ego. He has turned down shortcuts, embraced new collaborators, and found joy in simply playing. He isn't chasing the past, he's writing his truth in the present. A life of quiet strength and unwavering devotion. Vince Gill's life has been shaped by loss, sacrifice, scandal, and devotion. Yet he has never allowed pain to harden him. Instead, he turned it into songs that comfort others. His story proves that silence isn't always avoidance. It can be reflection. When he finally speaks, he does so with a depth earned through living. His legacy isn't built on trophies or headlines, but on the way his music reaches into the quietest parts of our hearts. Which Vince Gill song has stayed with you the longest? Share it in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if this story moved you, Please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories from the heart of music.